Please begin with your legs up the wall, head on the bolster. Make sure that your hips are far enough away from the wall that they feel heavy, grounded against the floor under gravity. Legs and feet neutral, distance apart and relaxing. And after a few moments of transition, of settling in, of turning in, tuning in, maybe following the breath for a few rounds. Then eventually interlace your fingers either under your head or under the bolster, or palms face up under the outer edges of the bolster. Allow, feel, observe the initial shifts. The subtle and obvious. Signals that you are in a different mode of being, a different mode of awareness than standard day-to-day waking, thinking, analyzing ego mind. Slowly, gently, mindfully, turn your head to the right. And as always, as we go along, incorporate and integrate in a natural, intuitive, easeful, effortless kind of way all of the different cues, all of the different principles, all of the different concepts, all of the different tools and techniques that we're working with. That we're growing from and building on. That I'm teaching you in Kaliana Yoga. But before we go any further, simply close your eyes. And allow yourself to be here fully. Take a rest. Allow the nervous system to reset. And this very simple restorative shape to work on you, to work for you, to work with you. Very good. Head slowly back to center. And just pause. As you continue to cultivate interior modes, interior approaches to the practice, to the body, to your experience that we've established so far of feeling, of observing, of the changeful versus the unchanging, and of the layers or koshas that you can be aware of. Physical, energetic, emotional, mental, spiritual, and the center, the place of pure being. Choose one or two of those to be your primary mode of operation for the rest of the sequence today. To deepen that, to exercise that, to expand that, to explore that. In the exterior practice, just so happens to be your backdrop right now. But it could be anything, any time of day or night, to explore consciousness in this way. If your fingers are interlaced, switch the interlace. If you need a brief break for your arms, hands, and shoulders, feel free, rest them by your side, and then resume. Again, as always, find the edge, and then discern, whether to move into the edge a bit, to back away from the edge a bit, or to stay right at the edge, based on sensation, mobility, intensity. As long as it's mild to moderate and manageable, it's really difficult to injure yourself. So be very honest about that. Turn your head gently to the left, with attention to the edge there as well. The edge to the movement, the front edge, the far edge, the soft edge, the hard edge. And then, having found it, eyes closed, let everything relax and be passive again. let your head slowly, gently, naturally return to center. Mindful of the amount of time and depth in your shoulders. Not taking for granted the very simple interlacing of your fingers or palms face up under the bolster. The degree of work that can happen even there, especially when the nervous system is in parasympathetic mode. You're in a passive state, receptive state. The therapeutic benefits of the shape of the pose go even deeper, more profound. So mindful of that in the arms and shoulders. Move with the pattern, with the sensation, as you slowly release your arms by your side. No rush. Might be some tingling, might be some sensation. And continue feeling, observing, and noticing the effects even after you release the position. And keep your attention tethered to what's occurring in your body, in your mind, in your nervous system, even in your fingers and toes, surface of your skin deep within, in your emotions, in your spirit, in your awareness. Incorporate everything as grist for the mill or fuel for the fire. Of your process of healing, awakening, and cultivating this ancient, wise practice called yoga. Whatever way works best for you, take your time over the next couple of minutes. Again, no rush. Transitioning off the wall. If you take little breaks, pausing with your knees bent, feet flat on the wall, or rolling off the wall to your side to let the feeling or the blood flow, the circulation come back to your legs and feet. For some of you, maybe even some low back intensity. Let that reset. Eventually, press yourself up to seated in Sukhasana on the floor with the bolster out of the way, facing away from the wall, legs crossed right over left in Sukhasana. And take your time again, before you just rush ahead. Gather all of your faculties, all of your awareness, all of your feeling, all of your senses, all of your self, and eventually drop forward. Conceptually, one of the primary principles that this style of yoga uses as foundational is that every unresolved trauma or drama in your life, and it could be this life as well as past lives, exists as what I call a nexus knot. Not so different from the Sanskrit word samskara, which is where we get our word scar from. And the nexus knot, or the samskara, exists with correlations on every kosha layer. Physical component, mental component, emotional component, spiritual component. And does in fact affect you on a daily basis. Sometimes it's more dormant, sometimes it's more active. But typically, just in order to survive daily life, we develop patterns to avoid feeling or avoid remembering or avoid facing these unresolved nexus knots from trauma and drama. So they get buried underground, so to speak. You avoid movement patterns just so that you can reach the top of your cabinets, just so that you can drive your car, just so that you can take care of your kids, and not feel that old shoulder injury. But it has become a way of moving that's not natural. To the way you were designed to move as a physical body. But it's specific to you. Good. Slowly come up. This is a laboratory. It's not something to do or accomplish. So let your awareness widen out in the poses, between the poses. What's happening right now? One thing at a time. Switch the cross of your legs. Feeling the cumulative effect of the work so far, the sequence so far. Noticing, observing, feeling the interior landscape and the inside of your body. The angle, the combination of your joints, your bones, your muscles. You don't have to have an anatomy degree. You have a body. Feel, notice, observe what it's doing. You don't have to have a psychology degree. You have a mind. Feel, notice, observe what it's doing. And drop forward again. So in this style of yoga, we intentionally put the body into angles and shapes that touch into these dormant or suppressed nexus knots so that they can come up and be seen and be processed in a neutral, loving, benevolent light of awareness that is your awareness. So notice and observe also what your tendencies might be to avoid. To only seek what feels good. And at the same time, don't let the eager beaver ego take the wheel and push too hard, because that in of itself can create a counterproductive reaction. So especially with longer holds and passive holds, it takes time to peel back the surface layers, reveal what's underneath rather than avoiding, feel it fully, and allow it to be healed on its own time by the intelligence of your system. In a nutshell, that's what we're doing here in the physical practice of yoga. Good. Slowly come up and make your way onto your back. Head on the bolster, knees bent, feet on the floor. And have your orientation with the wall or whatever furniture you may have around you such that in a moment I'm going to ask you to extend your arms back overhead, and I don't want the bolster to be hitting the wall. And also I'm going to ask you to extend your legs forward in a moment. So arms will be extending overhead and legs will be extending forward, and ideally not hitting the wall or any furniture. Take a moment first, however, to feel the contact of your body against the ground, different relationship with gravity, a different orientation with the spine, with the breath, with the blood flow, your nervous system, and your overall awareness. The information being accumulated through the sequence so far. And then eventually Slide the bolster over your head, extending your arms back as you go. Head comes to the floor. Ideally, have your arms shoulder width and parallel, palms face up, with your hands under the bolster. But if you need to widen your arms, wider than shoulder width, because of the edge or the intensity or something going on in your shoulder, feel free. Or if you need to bring one or both hands on top of the bolster, that's fine as well. But make an informed decision. And explore for a moment, before we move to the next thing, actively extending your elbows. And see what comes up. When the elbows are neutrally bending and relaxed, might not be any significant sensation. And again, we're not obsessing over it, but we are kind of on a archaeological dig, so to speak, wanting to dig beneath the surface to see what's there. A prerequisite, of course, is trust. Safety. But as long as you're following the guidelines and principles, again, it's very difficult to injure yourself. What can happen is the revealing of something that's been buried. As long as you're managing it, don't avoid it. Don't run away from it. Don't push through it. Explore it, be with it, feel it. So, the active extension of your elbows, straighter, 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 straighter. And then the same thing with your hands. Spread your fingers actively. A little more, a little more, a little more, a little more. Don't take for granted also that you're lying on your back and that this is supposed to be just relaxing, just enjoyable. Something may be coming up for you. And it's also okay if it's not. But don't overlook it. What's happening in your low back right now? Your low back is having a relationship with the ground. It might be bringing something up. Don't avoid it. Don't avoid it by wiggling or fidgeting or moving your knees back and forth. Good. Now, one at a time, extend your legs forward. Keep them hip width, relaxing. If that brings up anything in the low back area or sacrum or SI, first be with it, don't run away. Then if it persists, simply bend your knees again. That's developing a relationship without running to your typical avoidance pattern, with something beneath the surface that's coming up to be processed and is going to communicate. Once it passes, then extend your legs again. If the discomfort returns, bend your knees. Once it passes, extend your legs again. Now, right where your arms and hands are, let your elbows relax. Let your fingers relax. Let everything be passive. And even feel the back of your skull balancing on the floor. Like find that perfect point along the occipital ridge where your head is balanced weightlessly. Eyes closed, eyeballs resting heavily in the sockets. Muscles of your face soft. If you take little naps, little nervous system resets, great. But have a sense of wakefulness, a sense of curiosity for what's arising. And literally all you have to do is remain neutral, to simply feel, observe, and notice whatever it is. And that loosens the nexus knot. One more little bit, one more little bit, one more little bit. And release, and openings, and new depth, new space are the natural result. Allow yourself to be surprised without being preloaded with assumptions and expectations, or even desire of what you want to feel or what you should feel, what needs to be happening. And some of these very basic, simple shapes that most every human body can make in one variation or another. And incorporating mindfulness and the principles that I'm laying out, plus time, plus passivity, plus a different approach and understanding to discomfort or intensity, and with an eye to subtlety. And a trust that what's coming up is good. That you are designed for reharmony, homeostasis, balance, healing, evolution, transformation. The blockages, the congestion just has to get out of the way. And we're breaking those down piece by piece, very systematically, very gently, very non-threateningly. Bend your knees, feet to the floor. Again, mindful, without taking for granted, the depth of work in the shoulders, in the circulation, in the neck, in the spine. So keep the bolster where it is. Again, move with the pattern, move with the sensation arising as you release your arms by your side. Notice how they want to move. And continue to be with the effects. The texture, the kind of sensation. The delayed response after you've released the position. Good. Again, take your time transitioning. If you need to pause on your side, feel free. Roll to one side. Eventually press yourself up to seated on the floor again, facing away from the wall. Most likely you can keep the bolster right where it is. But if you need to move it out of the way, that's fine too. Legs extending in front of you this time. Paschimottanasana. Legs and feet together. Knees extending. And then, just like we did in a recent sequence, in a standing pose, gently squeeze your legs together. Not forcefully, but do it with feeling. Minimal amount of effort to feel the central channel, the inner leg lines turn on. So whatever parts of your feet naturally touch are touching and pressing together. Whatever parts of your legs touch or don't touch, based on your anatomy, gently squeezing towards each other. So the same as extending your elbows a while ago with arms overhead, notice the difference between not actively squeezing your legs together and actively squeezing your legs together. What it brings up. Good. Keep that. And flex both of your feet. Again, doesn't have to be all the way, all the way, all the way. But at least to the edge where you feel something. Think of your heels moving away. Toes coming towards. Backs of your legs getting longer. Legs squeezing together. Don't lose it. It's very important. Keep all of that. Sit bones grounded. Drop your torso down. Rounding your spine. Hands can go wherever they want to go. Folded on top of your shins, palms down on the floor, or even grabbing your feet. But if you grab your feet, grab each one from the pinky toe side. Keep flexing your feet, making your legs longer from behind, heels moving away, and squeezing your legs together. And be very mindful of the interconnectivity, the interweaving web, tunnel system, if you will, underground, of the samskaric nexus knots. And your typical tendency to avoid or press too hard through. Find the finesse. What's arising mentally, related to what's arising physically, and how you respond. What's arising emotionally, connected to what's arising energetically. How you typically respond and how you're responding now. Benevolent, trusting, neutral, loving awareness, observation, feeling without interpreting. That's all that's required. And the deep wisdom, the higher intelligence of your system and this ancient practice over time wants to take you on a journey of healing, true healing, and can take care of the rest. Good. Slowly come up. Relax the squeezing of your legs. Relax your feet and ankles. Stand up, take a little walk. And when we stand up and take a little walk, that's also not to avoid or to just revert back to your typical patterns of movement or posturing. It's also not to try to stand or walk in any particular way. Just move as your body's wanting to move. Walk as your body's wanting to walk. Feel everything. Notice everything. It does, however, integrate the work that we've done so far. Balance out, flush out, left and right, or anything that was stirred up from what we've done so far. As you come back, bring the bolster vertical on your mat. Sit in front of it. And eventually I want you to lay your spine down vertical on top of the bolster as well. You decide how close the bolster is to your sacrum. If it's all the way up on your sacrum as you lie back, then the back bend will be more in your low back. If you want the back bend to be a little more low to mid back or mid back, then the bolster is a little away from your sacrum as you lay down. Good. Connect the soles of your feet together, knees open to the sides, Baddha Konasana. So, as just a reminder, hips are on the ground here, not on the bolster. Hips are on the ground and the spine is on the bolster. Legs are in Baddha Konasana. And then interlace your fingers either under your head or under the bolster. As a middle option, if the fingers don't interlace all the way under the bolster, then you can kind of cup your hands around the bolster, fingertips pointing towards each other. Good. Slowly turn your head to the right. Nose moving kind of toward your right elbow. And then everything relax passive. This might be intense for some. So be very gentle, be very mindful, and take care of yourself, but at the same time, don't be afraid. Become comfortable with and accustomed to discomfort in the process of healing, for the sake of healing, for the sake of changing the pattern. But of course, back off, take breaks as necessary. There's no rush. Close your eyes. And that mode of being that we established at the beginning. Being rather than doing. Being with what's arising rather than doing anything with it. Without interpreting. Without opinionating. Without judging. Just be in that. Slowly back to center. Switch the interlace of your fingers and turn your head to the left. center. Lift your knees, feet to the floor. Release your arms. Eventually roll off the bolster either side you like. Pause on your side for a few moments. Then move the bolster out of the way and lie flat on your back. No bolster. Arms by your side, legs extending. For a more traditional Shavasana, but brief, just a couple of minutes. As you allow everything to integrate, let all the work you've done now work for you. And then have a new deep breath. Begin moving. Deep stretch in all directions. And take your time making your way up to seated, hands at heart center. Namaste.